And we're back after our short break. Really wasn't a break for you, was it? I guess, you know, being on YouTube, you can only put up 10-minute segments, so it's kind of strange. We don't really have a break, but if we ever get a sponsor, I'll be more than happy to throw up your commercial. So please, you know, send us an email, and let my producer Kima know all about it. Jumping right into, after the first 2 weeks of NFL action, I've got news for everybody out there. This year's Super Bowl champion is not 2-0. I say again, this year's Super Bowl champion is not 2-0. This rules out the following teams: the New York Jets, the Baltimore Ravens, the Indianapolis Colts, who just won tonight, the Denver Broncos, the New York Giants, the Minnesota Vikings, the Atlanta Falcons, the New Orleans Saints, and the San Francisco 49ers. None of those teams are going to win the Super Bowl. They all have had very solid performances, with the exception of a couple. I think some of them are hiding from us. I've never really put a whole lot of stock in the first 2 weeks of the NFL. It's been really difficult to really see what is going on during those times. The Saints, they've looked spectacular, but if we remember years ago, about 10 years ago, the Saints went 5-0 to start the season, didn't even make the playoffs. 49ers first year under Mike Nolan, they went 2-0 and then didn't even finish with 6 wins. So there's a lot of things that can happen. Of the teams that are 2-0, I would say that the Ravens are for real, that the Colts probably are struggling, but they're definitely for real. The Broncos are lying to us, bold-faced lying to us. The Giants are definitely for real. The Vikings are for real. The Falcons are for real. The Saints, it's still a toss-up. I know Drew Brees has been phenomenal the last couple of weeks, but I know that they've now put up the second highest point total in the first 2 games in NFL history. I still think, though, that they're not going to be able to pull out their division. And the 49ers, my beloved 49ers, I would love nothing more than for Michael Crabtree not to sign with them and for them to win the Super Bowl, to throw it in his face, just like the Giants threw their Super Bowl in Tiki Barber's face. But I don't think that's going to happen. Additionally, I don't think any of the 0-2 teams are in the Super Bowl hunt at all. So that leaves the following teams as potential Super Bowl champions: the Seattle Seahawks, the Arizona Cardinals, the Green Bay Packers, the Chicago Bears, the Dallas Cowboys, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Washington Redskins, the San Diego Chargers, the Oakland Raiders, the Houston Texans, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Cincinnati Bengals, the New England Patriots, and the Buffalo Bills. Of those teams, there's a few things that we've seen from these teams throughout the last couple of weeks in both their win and their loss. The Seahawks, they're just way too injury prone and inconsistent. They're not going to make it. The Arizona Cardinals, they got off to a rough start. They're currently playing with the whole, you know, out of the last 10 Super Bowl losers, only one has actually made the playoffs, and that was the Seahawks a few years ago. So, you know, you could say, well, they're an NFC West team, so they still have a chance to make it to the playoffs. I think that they've got the most solid team in the NFC West. I really think that they do have the ability to win that division. They may get off to a bumpy start, but that doesn't mean they can't bounce back and really take it over. The Green Bay Packers, they're done. Aaron Rodgers proved it against the Cincinnati Bengals. You do not beat the Chicago Bears and then invite the Cincinnati Bengals into your house and get killed. You just don't do it. And it was a good old fashioned country butt whooping. There was no in between for the Packers. The Packers were just awful. They're tremendous on defense, horrible on offense. The play calling was terrible. The quarterback play was terrible. He doesn't have anyone to throw to, and their running game is completely suspect. So don't expect the Packers to do anything. The Bears, on the other hand, they did show us a lot of things coming out of this last game, and I really think that their true test is yet to come, but they did just beat the defending Super Bowl champions. So it doesn't get much better than the come-from-behind win that you have in losing to a division rival and then beating the Super Bowl champions. The Dallas Cowboys, they're exactly what we saw last night. They are a shadow still of their former selves, and Jerry Jones can put $1.1 billion into his stadium all he wants. He still has Wade Phillips as his head coach. He still has Jason Garrett as his offensive coordinator, and no amount of money that he puts on a stadium is going to help the Cowboys win the Super Bowl. The Philadelphia Eagles, absolutely devastated with the loss of Donovan McNabb. You've got not only have you lost Donovan McNabb, you're not really sure about who's going to start, whether it's going to be Jeff Garcia or Michael Vick. According to a recent Facebook poll, 46% want Michael Vick to start. I think it's way too early for Michael Vick to start. He didn't show us much in the preseason that he was ready. He didn't show us anything in the fourth preseason game against third and fourth stringers. So I don't think Michael Vick is ready to start. I see Jeff Garcia taking that team, and it would just be perfect for the Oakland Raiders to watch Jeff Garcia lead the Philadelphia Eagles to a Super Bowl win. That would just be phenomenal. The Washington Redskins, they're as bad as they were last year. There's no point in even talking to them. The San Diego Chargers are a little interesting because even though they're 1-1, I think that they have some good upside. They're in a really weak division, but the Raiders are 1-1 too, and the Raiders are really showing some stuff. The Raiders held their own against the Chargers for quite some time, and I'm not saying the Raiders are back, but I am saying the Raiders are going to be forced to be reckoned with. The Texans are a lot better than their first game. They're as good as the game that they played against the Titans yesterday. I really think that was a phenomenal win for them. It showed their toughness. They're definitely a contender in the AFC South. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they're just not going to do it. They don't have what it takes to repeat. They're probably going to do similar to what they did after they won their last Super Bowl, which was go 8-8. Big Ben's going to go flat. Their defense, after losing Troy Polamalu, it's done. I mean, you saw that against the Chicago Bears. There was absolutely nothing on the inside that the Steelers could stop. The Cincinnati Bengals, they're a little interesting. They finally put forth a quality win on the road in a big game. We'll see how that plays out. Carson Palmer, to me, is the single most overrated quarterback in the National Football League. He doesn't play football well. I think that he's way overhyped coming out of USC. Ever since he's broke his leg, he has not been the same person. They don't have a defense. They lost T.J. Houshmandzadeh, which was the best wide receiver on that team. Chris Henry is now the best wide receiver on that team, not Chad Ochocinco. So it's going to be interesting to see where they go. The Buffalo Bills have had a really good upside with the acquisition of Terrell Owens. I really like that. I was one of the 49er fans that was glad T.O. left and went to the Eagles. I could not believe the Eagles let him go to the Cowboys because regardless of the made-up stuff that he supposedly did in the locker room, he was the single reason that they went to a Super Bowl. Granted, he didn't play in the NFC Championship game, but he brought intensity that they had not seen in Philadelphia. And he dined out Donovan McNabb because in that Super Bowl, McNabb fell off in the fourth quarter. How do you have 2 weeks off before the Super Bowl and you just fall flat in the fourth quarter? It just doesn't happen. And I really think that T.O. actually had it right. McNabb does not utilize all of his time wisely. So I think that with the Buffalo Bills, T.O. is going to be a huge difference maker because Lee Evans is a great wide receiver. He's now opened up the field for him. They get Marshawn Lynch back, not next week, but the week after. So they're going to have their solid running game back. Their defense is decent. It's not the best in the NFL, but it's decent. And I really think that they can do it. The Patriots, on the other hand, the Patriots are a different story. Patriots are a totally different story. And we're going to talk more about the Patriots right after this.